Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Jeffrey E. Berger, and welcome to Season 2 of the Holistic True Wealth series in collaboration with Mupo TV, part of Mupo Entertainment. As the CEO and founder of Abundance and Optimum Wellness and a certified holistic wellness coach, I am of the belief we all should be living a life of abundance and optimum wellness physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. As a certified holistic coach today, I take a finance-first approach to achieving all-encompassing personal well-being by embracing new ways to true wealth in the modern world. And by exploring diverse paths, it really opens the doors to true wealth in every sense. And as a global ambassador for an innovative company revolutionizing the future of real estate through digital technology, I'm deeply committed to empowering individuals and communities worldwide. My mission goes beyond business by providing global-minded entrepreneurs with new ways to true wealth in the modern world so they can circumvent the system and go from financial fatigue to financial freedom. It's about creating opportunities, providing access, and building a more inclusive and supportive digital world where everyone has a chance to thrive. True wealth is not only about money, it's a combination of physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and financial fitness. Myself and my special guests are all about bringing awareness around alternative solutions from all aspects, leading one towards a path to overall true wealth. The mission: provide real solutions for real people who are serious about wanting to go from barely surviving to thriving again. So with that, before I get started, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And for those interested, you can find this interview series in collaboration with Mupo Entertainment at mupotv.com, or you can download the Android or iOS app. We're seen also on Fire TV, Roku, and Vimeo, and also 144 countries. So we will be right back with my very special guest for today. Okay, we are back, and joining us from Preston, England, the United Kingdom, is Debra Blackman. And Debra is the founder of Viessentially LTD, which includes specialties such as business support outsourcing, trainer of podcasting for publicity and profit. She's also a wonderful, wonderful podcast host, international speaker, including events, TV, radio, and podcasts. On top of a long list of professional accomplishments, Debra has personally helped entrepreneurs, business owners, and companies to secure millions in revenue, which is absolutely outstanding. So, Debra, welcome to Season 2 of Holistic True Wealth.
Thank you, Jeffrey. It's wonderful to be here.
It's great to have you on board, and thank you for coming on board from the other side of the pond, as we call it. So, before we start diving into today's questions, share with our viewers who Debra is outside of business.
Well, if you'd have asked me that a few years ago, I would have given you a different story. I was very blessed, and you might think, why was I blessed? I had a nervous breakthrough a few years ago. And I say breakthrough absolutely deliberately because it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And so now I am getting to know myself, which is fabulous. I can honestly say that in all those years with self-loathing and self-deprecation, not being comfortable in my own skin, I'm actually falling in love with me again, which is absolutely brilliant. I would advocate that to anybody. So outside of that, I love nature. And just in case you hear a little noise in the background, I have the most beautiful standard wire-haired dachshund called Tilly. She is a long draft excluder. She is absolutely the apple of my eye, and we can be often found yumping about in all the muddy puddles and getting stuck into all the fields and walking around the wonderful countryside that we have here in Lancashire where I live. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. And I know that you have your own personal story that you've shared with me, but I would really like for you to share it with our viewers, the challenges that you endured and how you came over them, came outside of them, because we all have. The more I'm doing these interviews, there are so many amazing stories of, accomplishment and breakthroughs and all kinds of things. It just really blows my mind that, what, everybody that I talk to has a unique story. So share a little bit about what your unique story has been from where you were to where you are today.
Oh, an easy question then, Jeffrey. Thank you. One to start with. So, I was a child of parents that I now understand to suffer from mental illness, and that wasn't their fault. I think there was a generational thing, to be fair. And these people were children in the Second World War, so I can imagine that had an horrendous effect on them. But even still, they did have me, and in that sense, they failed in their duty because I lived afraid. From before I could remember, I was the subject of all manner of abuse, and I lived to protect myself within. And we all have heard of Harry Potter. I adopted that cloak of invisibility to be able to keep myself as nondescript as possible. And if anybody has had a situation where they've lived through that experience, they'll know what it's like to where your safe haven should be is actually your worst nightmare. And I lived like that for forever, really. So moving forward, I kept a lot of those behaviors and thought processes with me to protect myself. And like anything, we don't know what we don't know. So I thought that was the best way to be, very insular, using the cloak of invisibility, not saying much to people. But what I was an obsessive imperfection because I'd had to be as a child. I was an empathetic person because, again, I had to be. And that really stood me in good stead for my career because, albeit that I picked companies and jobs that were at odds with me, which is, again, something that people do when you don't know what good looks like, mm-hmm. I thrived in them. I had a very successful high-level career within business development, within banking at ultra high net worth and high net worth level, and also with international operational management consultancy, and sold into C-suite of huge organizations. Anything with chief in front of it, I did it. But as I said a few years ago, because the whole business of me trying to keep up to this standard, putting on different personas, it all came crashing down with a nervous breakthrough. So I was forced, the universe, you might call it, decided that I was going to have a bit of a shock to the system. And that was the journey, the metamorphosis that sees me now as a proud founder of Viessentially Limited and podcast host. And as you said, all these wonderful things that I've been blessed to help people with, somebody that didn't have a voice. And now, as you can tell, is enjoying communicating to the world to help give out my purpose. And we'll go into that in a little bit more detail.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, as you know, my story, I left corporate America in 2015 from total burnout. And it's just amazing to not only talk to people here in the United States, but others globally about their experiences in these types of industries and how abusive they really can be, and where you really don't have a voice. I've come to the point, it is what it is, but we have the choice to leave that and pursue other things that we want to pursue, but also have an impact on the world. And you can't do that under the dictatorship, if you will, for lack of word, of corporate America dictating to you what to do and how to fire to jump and, that kind of stuff. So when I left, it really opened up the doors to a plethora of amazing opportunities. So today you are a very successful businesswoman in the UK. So share a little bit more about your purpose within your own business and the special mission that you have around Viessentially Limited.
Thank you. Yes, very good question, Jeffrey. So my purpose is to help people in business, and it has a knock-on effect in our personal lives as well, of course, because we're all people at the end of the day, in two areas. Firstly, and these are from lived experiences, as a busy business owner, often we find that we've run out of time before we go to bed and can finish everything. And that can become incredibly stressful, especially each day when we think we're on the back foot. It makes us do jobs that are stopping us from doing the things that we really need to do. So I set up a business that is based offshore, where we help busy business owners buy back their time, give them their time back, which is a wonderful magic that we create in all sorts of administration, business development, social media content creation, and podcast management and production as well. And so that's with a beautiful dedicated team that I do. So that's it, buying back people's time, which is so precious, to be able to de-stress, decompress, plan and be with their families, etc., whatever that time looks like for you. And also to, again, from lived experience, give people a voice, give them a platform with which they can share their purpose within the business community to reach their target audience through being guests on my podcast. I have 2 very successful podcasts, and also I train, mentor, and teach people at executive level to actually have command of their voice, to be able to use podcasting for publicity and profit, because it is a well-known platform, but most people aren't really optimizing podcasting as it can be. And I go into great detail in how to help people to podcast for publicity and profit.
Awesome. That's amazing. And, podcasting is relatively new, if you will. And I think that you're in a great space because this is the up and coming thing. People are leaving wherever and creating their own podcast to share their story, to bring people on board, to share their own stories and their own wisdom and their own insight to a plethora of different areas that people are looking for in a unique situation because they're not getting the right information from mainstream media. And unfortunately, it is what it is. That's another talk for another story or another show. But podcasting is more of an authentic platform for individuals who are really embracing this. And I've started to embrace this more over the last, several years, especially since I'm doing this show myself. And amazing people, amazing information. And it opens up the doors for, unlimited possibilities. So with that, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And I said earlier that I'm a global ambassador for an international digital real estate company, but we're building I call it an eclectic ecosystem, because it's utilizing real tech, financial tech, educational tech, AI, and the metaverse. And it's opening up the doors to different ways of where we have people that are getting involved and who really have the mindset of technologies that are being developed today are going to change the way we do things in the future, 3 to 5 to 10 years down the road. And this is amazing. It's an amazing time globally because we're in the 2025 bull market run with regards to digital assets, digital currency, the digital world. It's really opening up the door for a number of individuals who want to start exploring that. And this will show you just a little bit about what I've got going on here on my side. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back with Debra Blackman from the UK and another podcaster just like me, and where I actually had the privilege of being a guest on her show. And now you're a guest on mine, which I'm very, very humbled that you took the time to come onto my show to share what you've got to offer the world. And so please share with us how you came up with the name and the purpose of your first podcast here, which is called Sphere of Being.
Yes. So when I discovered my voice, because of course this wasn't how I used to react, I used to put a persona on. I was very successful in engaging with people, but it wasn't the real authentic version of me, which is so important, as you'll know, Jeffrey, when we're doing podcasting and we're putting our message out. And I say to anybody, speak from your authentic truth. It always connects with your audience much more. So these are, again, from lived experience, Sphere of Being. This is directed at busy business owners, people within corporates, medium-sized enterprises, smaller businesses as well. When we're in leadership positions, often we are not even figuring on our list, least of all being at the top of it. And we're so busy doing that we're not thinking about how to be. So I liken it to the fact that we're not human doings, we should be human beings. So how do we put our oxygen mask on first, so to speak? How do we make sure that we are, and you talk to this as well, Jeffrey, about the abundance, the wellness, the overall way in which we show up has the effect of having so many ripples out there to the people that we touch. And Sphere of Being is all about having executives, leaders within corporates, as I say, small to medium-sized enterprises as well, in giving the listeners the opportunity and their target audience the opportunity to see the hearts and minds behind them, how they make sure that they show resilience, how they are there to care for themselves primarily, and then have an abundance of energy and enthusiasm and ideas so that they can then permeate that throughout their organizations. Because it can be tough at the top and it can be lonely. And ultimately, we do need to have that being space. And that's what that podcast is all about.
That's awesome. And you know what? I really love the platform because it really gives that entrepreneur, if you will, rather than that huge corporate executive, a platform to speak and to share what their vision is for their company. And America was built on small entrepreneurship. And I think we're getting back to that a little bit more because people are just sick and tired of being sick and tired of all the stuff that's going on, and they're not getting to be able to level up to the next level in their own lives, and they're they want to search for things. So that really leads us into the sphere of success, because you talk about the sphere of being, and now it expands into that sphere of success. So share a little bit about that, because that's very exciting.
Yes, indeed. Again, through lived experience. Before the breakthrough, when anything bad used to happen, or my perception, and it's all about perception of what is bad, used to happen, and often out of my control, some of which were in my own making. But, if you think about COVID, nobody could have predicted that. I used to think that I was being cursed, that I was a victim, that my life was just meant to be one of suffering and tragedy. And I'm not diminishing anybody's suffering. I know awful things happen to good people, but ultimately we can suffer and we can rail against it, or we can think, how can we have a more positive outlook? How can we change within a business context? And just to note your point, yes, there are smaller enterprise people that come on the show, but also CEOs of corporations too, because we're all people at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And how can we look and reframe that adversity and challenge and look at it as opportunities to learn, to grow, to develop our businesses, to develop ourselves, self-analyze, and also to choose different pathways? Because as Einstein said, if you do the same things as you did before, you're pretty much going to get the same results that you're going to have always got. You do something different with that opportunity, you look at the things differently, then all of a sudden what could be considered to be really not very good, you've then got something which is absolutely amazing. So that's what Sphere of Success is all about.
Awesome. That's great. It sounds like your dog is busy over on your.
Yes.
I
Yes,
love it.
she is. She's just burrowing away in her sandpit. So please excuse her,
No,
everybody.
you're fine. You're fine. So those are our four-legged lovebirds, you know. So our
Absolutely.
kids. So I know what you're going through because we go through the same thing. So, but so we're kind of coming up to the end here of this amazing interview. So, last question for you is: if there's one piece of advice that you could provide our viewers watching that could potentially take them to the next level in their life, either personally or professionally, what would that be?
So again, this is from my own perspective that I went through
Sure.
this. Trusting in the world, trusting in the universe is a good place. Making sure that you surrender. I was all out for control. I couldn't think that anything could happen without my hand in it in some way. And it was exhausting. So if we can relinquish certain elements of control that we have in our daily lives and our behaviors and trust and surrender and know that once then we open that space up and let go, things come into it. And not only that, we actually know what they are. We've appreciated that they've come in. We've recognized that. And then we can actually act upon them. So I would say trust, surrender, let go, and allow the magic to happen, because it really does.
And there's a lot of magic that's out there. So thank you for that nugget piece of advice for our viewers. And before we wrap up, where are the best places for people to reach out to you? I know that in the scrolling banner below, I've got your LinkedIn URL there. People can reach out to you on LinkedIn, but is there any other place that people can reach out to you?
We're on Facebook. I also have an email address, which is db at Viessentially, which is on the screen, VIESSENTIALLOY.com. Please do be in touch. It would be wonderful to have a chat with you, whether you're interested in outsourcing, whether you're interested in being a guest on the show. So I hold space for you to shine your business. And then also, if you're thinking, how can I get into podcasting for publicity and profit? I'd be very happy to have a discussion.
Awesome. That's great. Well, thank you so much, Debra, for taking the time today from your busy schedule, because I know you're very, very busy, sharing your story, sharing more about your business. And again, for those that are interested, reach out to Debra, I should say, at LinkedIn and her website, as she just stated. I'm so appreciative for you coming on board. And before we leave here, as I mentioned in the beginning, I'm a global ambassador for an international digital real estate ownership company. We're expanding in the U.S. We are global, but we're getting amazing global recognition with regards to our eclectic ecosystem here. And if you're interested in learning more about decentralization, real world assets, digital real estate ownership, metaverse, and our newest IPO announcement, we're on a 24 to 36 roadmap to an IPO, which is an initial purchase offering to go on to the New York Stock Exchange. Just scan that QR code and sign up for one of the webinars that I hold 5 times per month, because we have a lot of information to share. And I'm educating those who are really looking for what's happening today that's going to be impacting the world in the next 3 to 5 to 10 plus years down the road. There's a lot of opportunity here. I know I was scared about this industry way back, and today I'm embracing it, because this is the future and we want to be in the know so we're not left behind. So I'm confident that we have at least one thing that's happening in our ecosystem that might please you. And if not, that's okay too. But remember, holistic true wealth is about a balance and harmony across all disciplines that I embrace and I truly teach. It's about creating a life that is rich in experiences, relationships like I have with Debra, knowledge, and purpose. And by really embracing this holistic approach that we have going on here, we can really achieve a state of well-being that is sustainable and fulfilling, leading us to live better lives. People are out there looking for unique opportunities, unique programs that help them level up and live a better life. And financially, I should say, finally, with regards to this, is holistic mental and financial fitness is a new path to embracing true wealth in this modern world. So I will see you on the inside next time. Thanks, Debra. Appreciate you as always.
You thought I was playing? Huh. I was playing? Huh.